Now here you go again, you say you want your freedom. Well, who am I to keep you down? It's only right that you should play the way you feel it, but listen carefully to the sound of your loneliness. It's like a heartbeat drives you mad in the stillness of a memory, what you had. No idea how it feels to be on your own, in your own home, with the fucking phone and the mother of glue in your bedroom, standing over your head with their hands in your head, with their hand in your head. I will not pretend, I will not put on a smile, I will not say I'm alright for you, when all I wanted was to be good, to do everything in truth.
I'm doing well. Where are you?
I'm in South Florida. Where are you in? Are you in Iowa today?
I am. Yep. I'm in Iowa today. It's a nice sunny day. It's cold, but it's sunny at least. I'm sure it's really nice down in Florida.
It's nice. I'm not gonna lie. This is the time of the year where I do get to humble brag a little bit.
Yeah.
July and
Not too
August.
hot.
July and August, when you look like Tina Turner after a third encore, not so much.
Yeah, absolutely. That humidity will get you. So,
Absolutely.
well, thanks for having me today. Sorry I had to reschedule yesterday. I kind of wasn't feeling well yesterday, so
It's all good, Lissie.
feeling better
Absolutely.
today.
We're really
Yeah.
excited you got to join us. Obviously, to quickly introduce you kind of to my audience real quick. I mean, you're an uber talented singer, songwriter. So many hits, Lizzie, so many hits. Pursuit of
Oh.
Happiness, Don't You Give Up on Me, Best Days, Not a Bad Resume. Not a bad resume. And you
Thank you.
just released a fantastic brand new EP. Thank You for the Flowers, a collection of stunning covers written by female artists that you, Lizzie, admire. Among them Sinead O'Connor, Lana Del Rey, and of course the Martha Wainwright one that just gives you like the chills. Insane.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So of course, first of all, Lizzie, let's start with the housekeeping stuff. How are you? How have the holidays been for you in this wild 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I think like everybody, it's just been such an unbelievable year in so many ways, and everyone's grieving different things, big and small. I think that I've had to kind of like toughen up this year. So I really am just taking it a day at a time, and focusing on the things that I'm grateful for. So for Thanksgiving, I didn't get to see my family, but I saw some friends and had some food. And heading into the holidays, I'm gonna try to be pretty careful about quarantining before I go to see my parents. So it's definitely like, I mean, still, I can't believe we're even talking about this. Like, if you'd have
Yeah.
told me a year ago that this would be the new reality, I mean, it's not, you don't really know like what to believe or what to do, but just trying my best to stay positive and present. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that matters a lot, Lizzie, by the way, because I feel like, in this time of winter, not literally, but like, right, we're in a time of winter. I think that, we've differentiated the people that have seen the reasons to blame things, the opportunity, or how can I overcome this? How can I be a better artist, a better human being? And I think you fall in the latter. So for sure, I hear you.
Oh yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. What about you? How are you feeling about the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, I live in a state that's a little wild, of course, Florida. So, you know, you have to take real personal responsibility here for your actions,
Hmm.
because from the government on down, there's not a lot of direction. So how do I put this? So yeah, so it comes down to you caring for your fellow human being, from your place, because you can't count on anybody else to do it for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And it's very strange, it's with the politics as well, just like how intense everything has gotten, where like family member against family member and friend
Yeah.
against friend. I'm really hoping that we learn some valuable lessons from this time and also can kind of just cool off next year and everybody can just chill and get back to like trying to be kind to one another, because it's just felt so intense for
I
sure.
hope
So I
so.
think personal responsibility is a big part of it.
Definitely, Lizzie, I hope so. But in a way, for you, has it almost been like a blessing, this year, in the sense that, you've been kind of running nonstop, putting out stuff since Colorado State. I think you just like putting really a lot of outpouring of work. So, normally
Oh,
I don't
I
think
lost
you've
you
had the
for a
time.
second.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Can
I
you hear me?
lost you. I just lost you for 1 second. Now I can hear you. Yep.
No, it's so good. I'm just saying, since Colorado State, it seems like you have been productive, prolific, putting stuff out there, touring England, touring the world. Has this pause almost been like a needed like pause for you, like a reset?
Yeah, going into this year, I was already planning on taking a little bit more time off and like being, more present in my relationship, which actually ended this summer. So it was sort of like I almost felt like careful what you wish for, because
Mhm.
I was hoping to have all of this time to sort of be home and be cozy and be with my partner and the dogs. And um, kind of, even though then before the pandemic in mid-March, like I was already like, oh shoot, like I wanted to take time off, but it's only February and I'm really missing performing. Like
Yeah,
I didn't realize how much of my purpose and identity and my soul and what drives me was really wrapped up in actually performing for people in person.
hmm,
So the break, was taking breaks is good, but I think this year has taught me like not to take opportunities for granted. And it's reminded me how much I really truly do love to travel and see my friends in different countries. And even though it can be exhausting sometimes, it's really made me almost, when things go back to normal, like I feel even more committed to like wanting
yeah,
to travel and play shows and tour and never take for granted getting to gather with people and bringing people together. Like
I love it.
those are things that I think I took a little bit for granted and now I miss so
I
much.
love it.
And I
I
think
love
all
it.
my musician friends miss it too.
Yeah, yeah, but it sounds like you are coming out of this, Lizzie, you know, 2.0, with the core of what you are, with your identity really well defined, and you kind of let go of what was not like serving you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I think even for non-artist or musician people, I mean, it's like everyone's just had to really confront and face a lot of stuff in ourselves that we were kind of squashing down or putting aside. And it's been brutal, don't get me wrong. I had a really challenging summer where I was like thinking like I couldn't even function. Like it
Yeah,
was so intense, but it sort of made me confront some stuff from the past and like ask myself hard questions. And so I think for all of us, like, yeah, there is something after this time where we're a little more hopefully centered in what and
yeah,
who we are and where we can grow and what's important moving forward, I
yeah,
hope.
definitely, Lizzie, definitely. But okay, so you went through a rough period. Don't you think that maybe you're like stronger now than before that? Like, I know it's hard because you remember those dark days in the summer. I mean, we've all been through, but it feels like don't you feel like you're almost like stronger now for having gone through that in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like personally, but also like globally. I mean, so many people I know, it's been amazing to see people, if you'd have told them like what this year would be like, they'd say there's no way I could do that. And here we
Right.
are almost a year later, like people are resilient. The human spirit is resilient.
Yes.
Everyone has had a broken heart, has suffered loss, all those things that are so universal, but when you go through it, it feels like you're the only person that's ever felt that, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's so universal. So definitely, I mean, I think I'm stronger in that I had to, I had to find some new tools in my tool belt of being a human being. Like, I
Nice.
think there's just so much about just acceptance, easier said than done, but we never had control. The pandemic has made it even clearer, but like we don't have
Yeah.
control over
Yeah.
things. We just really I have to really be able to surrender and accept in a way and resign myself almost sometimes to just that, taking it a day at a time, trying to have better you know techniques for being mindful, for taking breaths, like
Yeah.
all of the things that we all need to do, and know that like things tend to get better with time. And so yeah, I feel like I'm stronger than I was probably before, as is the case I think just in general for people in life. Like the more shit you go through, the more ability you have to like overcome things, I think. So
Yeah.
I'd say someday I'll look back on this time and think like, oh wow, like we all had to grow a lot.
I love it.
um
See, Lizzie, this is why I
yeah.
wanted to talk to you. I knew you were going to be an amazing interviewee, so I just knew it. Uh,
Oh, well, thanks,
but
I'm
yeah,
enjoying it.
to your point, I just read recently that 40% of what humans do on a daily basis is based on routine, on habits, and the fact that we've had that taken away, as to your point, it causes the brain to completely like, okay, like rewire itself to see how the hell it's gonna figure the new stuff out, because that's what the brain does,
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, it definitely, our brains are like little computers, and they recognize what's familiar and they send messages to places in our brains where it's like everything sort of like so programmed from childhood. So there's been a lot of sort of trying to deprogram and reprogram just the way our synapses fire and categorize things. I mean, I think for me, because I'm a touring musician,
yeah,
uh, who's also spends like a lot of time alone by choice, kind of. I like my alone time. I feel like maybe I was more equipped for this kind of structureless life. I think a lot of people, like you said, like they can't they can't deal without structure. If they just had like a day upon day upon day of like free time laid out in front of them, most people can't do that. I kind of feel like I've learned how to kind of create my own structure because of my life as a touring musician who has
yeah,
time off. Even like the weekends don't really mean as much to me. Holidays, like I've had to miss a lot of holidays over the years because I've been traveling for work. So even with that kind of stuff, like I think I already had some ability to kind of live a structureless life compared to like
yeah.
some of my friends and family.
Totally love it, Lizzie. Well, listen, let's get to the music, because from the looks of it, I could like chat with you for hours. So
Yeah, and I'm so like long-winded, so just tell me
no,
to like move on as
oh,
it
oh, I
gets
love it.
too.
I love it. Okay, let me ask you
Yeah.
actually one more that I wanted to ask you, like non-music related, because a record number of Americans are doing what you did all those years ago, which is living the big city, like buying big property. Kind of like you were like 20 years ahead of the curve. Just wondering, if you were like aware of that, like you were like decades ahead of them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I've always been someone who, and I've made a life for myself so that I can try and like I can go to the big city, I can travel, I can be with people, but then like I have this other side of my life where I've wanted to like live in the country, live somewhere quiet, live in nature,
Yeah,
feel more connected, and also like work on my skills to be like a more empowered excuse me, a more empowered person. Like I don't really like feeling helpless. Like I want to know how
yeah,
to do things.
yeah,
Um, and so I don't know at the time. I think that was just my personality and kind of how I'd always thought I'd eventually like, live in a small town, like live in the country, but then be able to hop on a plane and go to New York City for a week if
sure.
I wanted to, like balance. But I do think now, especially with the pandemic, like um, I watched this funny movie called Save Yourselves recently. It's on Amazon. You have to rent it, but it's funny because it's kind of like this millennial hipster couple, and and they're sort of it's pretty silly, but it's really funny. But they're kind of realizing like they don't really have any skills, and they're like addicted to their phones,
Right.
and they find themselves out in like the country in this dubious situation. But I think like more and more young people, it seems, are kind of returning to this desire to have land and have dogs and have chickens and grow food and
Yeah.
be more connected to the things that really matter, as kind of a direct result of like, I think every generation it kind of switches. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I do, maybe I was a little bit ahead of the curve with that, but and with global warming, I mean, it's a whole thing. I think I was thinking like I didn't know if it'd be sustainable for me to buy something in California, also knowing that wildfires are
Right.
scary,
Right.
things like that.
Sure. Sure.
So
It seems like there's
yeah.
more frequent, but yeah. Anyway, well, that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Lizzie. Let's talk about the new EP for a second. I mean, let's start with Martha Wainwright's, bloody motherfucking asshole. Like, unbelievable cover. And let's talk about the video for a second, Lizzie. Like, breathtaking shots of space, and you kind of, we're talking about the wildflowers, we're talking about humanity, and in this chat, and you kind of like bring all this into perspective with with these shots. Why did you go in this direction with like the space imagery?
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it because it's absolutely just breathtaking. When I learned Bloody Motherfucking Asshole, it was in the aftermath of this like shocking kind of breakup situation. And I was singing it and learning it like in the context of this relationship. But then as the summer went by and paying attention to like politics as well, and feeling like, we had this leader who was just dehumanizing people left and right, just entire groups of people. He was just denying their humanity. And I
Yeah.
started to hear it like almost in the voice of people who have been dehumanized. And then even more, my friend Talon Blanchon, who did the video, it was his idea to find all of this archival footage of outer space and sort of bring it into this realm of like, even bigger. I could hear it, and it was almost like Mother Nature was singing this song. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, kind of out there in space, like, looking at this earth and all its beautiful creatures at the end, and all of the ways in which we've been, um, really kind of abusing our planet.
Yeah.
So that new meaning really that was through Talon's eyes in the video that I saw that. So I have
Super
him to thank
impactful.
for that.
Yeah. Super
Yeah, it's such a
impactful.
beautiful video.
Beautiful.
It really
Beautiful.
is. And it's funny because even like friends and family of mine, I mean, this is the age we live in where like, you can't, there's so much on the internet, like you can barely get people to sit down and watch a 3-minute video, like telling my friends, like, watch the whole video. Like, don't just watch the teaser part at the
Right.
beginning of Instagram. Like, keep watching. Like, you
Right.
have to watch the whole thing. So
I
I
know.
really hope that people who haven't seen it watch it because it's totally worth it. It's
Absolutely.
beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, like one watches it like 3 times on the first sitting because you miss details here and there. But yeah, for sure, Lizzie. Like the other tracks
Well,
in
thank
the
you.
yeah, it's wonderful. The other tracks, Lizzie, in the EP are wonderful. The covers are great. Uh, I love to hear artists interpret other people's songs. I just do. But what I like with what you're doing, Lizzie, is you're picking songs I never thought you would have picked. You have surprised me, Lizzie. Like you Wrecking
That's
Ball by
thank
Miley
you.
Cyrus, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone by Paula Cole, Changed by Lana Del Rey, and of course Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. All of which, yeah, I mean, you reimagined them. You put their own spin, but you just make them beautiful. What was the criteria for picking these tunes?
I mean, I've done a lot of covers over the years, and I wish there was some like super clever story about it. But really, this summer I was just listening to a lot of music to help me process and sort of grieve this loss of this like person that had been in my life for 2 years that,
Yeah,
you know, was just gone. It was like they didn't exist anymore. And that was really
right,
painful. And so I was listening to these songs and wanting to sit down and learn them on my guitar just for myself because that's like a therapeutic thing that I like to do with songs, with covers I've ever done. It's like, oh, I like that song. It really resonates with what I'm feeling right now. So I'm just going to like learn it. and half the time I might not even ever play it for anyone or share it with anyone.
Yeah.
So with these covers, it was like, as I was wanting to learn Bloody Motherfucking Asshole and Where Have All the Cowboys Gone and Wrecking Ball just for my own entertainment and therapy at home, combined with, feeling like with the pandemic, I really couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be proactive and figured out a way to safely go up to Minneapolis and, mask up and record these songs just because it was like a way for me to feel like I was continuing to share and express myself. So those songs just really resonated with how I was feeling over the course of the summer. And so to document that and how those songs really helped me get through the mud of what was happening, decided to lay down vocal guitar. And
Yeah.
then a producer I work with in LA sort of fleshed them out and added instrumentation. And then here we are. So with covers, I just kind of, if I relate to the song, any genre, I find a lot of therapy in learning it and playing it for people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was thinking like, I wonder if when you started covering like Fleetwood Mac or something like that, were you ever like intimidated? Like, man, I better not screw this one up, you know?
Well, the thing about the Fleetwood Mac covers, like those actually weren't really like my idea to cover. Those were
Mm.
kind of suggested to me by people. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, like, should I cover this song? Like, this is sacred ground, like, but then people were like, oh, you should do that song. So I do sometimes take requests as well. But yeah, those songs, it was sort of like I covered them for something, for a commercial or for a radio gig we were doing. And then they just ended up becoming popular. So I kept doing it.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, Lizzie. Well, listen, you've been so generous with your time. I'll leave you with this. What are your favorite, music that you've heard in 2020? What is, now that the year is kind of wrapping up, what are some of the stuff that, that's been on your repeat that you can recommend my audience, or that has guided you throughout this trying year?
Yeah, I mean, a big thing for me this year, especially when I woke up in the morning, was to not look at my phone or listen to the news for like the first hour or two of the day. And so
Nice.
without getting too specific, I found that just putting on like just turning on the radio to like a classical station was
Nice.
really nice, a nice way for your brain to
Like
open up.
Mozart, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just like Swan Lake or
Gotcha.
whatever the DJ is playing, like music that didn't have singing or words,
Mm,
that I didn't have to think about it, I didn't have to listen.
right.
So I found classical music to be just throw on the radio, whatever the DJ's choosing, just a nice
Nice.
thing to have on. That being said, like the new Miley Cyrus album is so
Mhm.
good.
Yes, yeah,
So I just love her. So this
she's
past
something
week,
else. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, she's like outrageous or whatever. But that aside, I just think like her songs are so good and she puts so much heart into her vocal performance. So I like the new Miley Cyrus a lot. And then I have a friend named Sarah Buxton who put
Hmm.
out an EP. She put an EP out this past month. And I've been spending some time with her writing songs and stuff. And she put out an EP called Signs of Life. And it's just like, it's like spiritual, it's like healing, it's beautiful.
Nice.
Her voice is like honey. So just in the past couple of weeks been listening to a lot of Sarah Buxton and a lot of
Cool.
Miley Cyrus. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Well,
So
listen, Lissy, you look great. I'm sure you've had the trials and tribulations as you've described them. But let me tell you, in December of 2020, it looks like you are heading up, and you look wonderful.
well,
Yes.
thank you. It's so nice to talk to you. I appreciate the love and the support and
Absolutely.
encouragement so much.
Absolutely. And listen, we can't wait for a return to normalcy, because you'll be rocking those stages and people clamoring for you again. So
Yes, no, I can't wait. I've written like 9 new songs now. So a new
super.
album is kind of properly in the works. And hopefully I make it to Florida next time.
Absolutely.
Haven't played
Well,
there yet. So
that, I mean, you have to play Florida. Bring some decency to the state. Come on, Lucy.
yeah, I'll try.
All
All
right.
right. Well, thank you so much. Such a
Thank you
pleasure
so
to talk
much.
to you.
Have a good one.
You have a wonderful one. Yep, you too. Stay healthy.